What's that? Ooh, I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. You can ask Alex, who's on the end of here.
Are we still muted?
Hello, hello. Let's get started, everyone. Hello. We're going to go ahead and get started. Please take your seats. All right. Sounds great. Sounds great. Hello and welcome to the Oregon Country Fair annual meeting. My name is AJ and I am currently serving as your president. We have, I think, what is bound to be a fun evening ahead of us. We're going to hear from our candidates. We're going to hear from our executive director. And we're also going to hear from a few words from our executive director about our treasurer's report. And as well as we'll hear from Jen Lin about our feedback from this. Oh, we're going to substitution. All right. Okay. All right. But we'll have a moment to hear about feedback from this year's fair. I want to start with calling on Kirsten to get us going.
Thank you, AJ. Hello, everyone. Great to see you all and share another State of the Peach with you. First, I want to sincerely thank all the volunteers, artists, restaurateurs, and entertainers for their time, energy, and commitment to making another magical fair this year. Thank you to the Board of Directors and to the candidates that are running for the Board of Directors. Their leadership and guidance are so important to keeping the organization moving forward. Thank you to Jeff Remus, Membership Secretary, and the Elections Committee, Heidi Doscher, Meryl Levin, and Jen Lynch Hodgson. Thank you to John Steinhardt and the Sunshine Team for their work on incorporating membership records into the database. All of their efforts have brought our first hybrid election to fruition. This was no small task, and the organization is grateful for their efforts to bring us into the digital voting age. I also want to recognize the Ritz for turning 50 in 2026. Their commitment to keeping the fair volunteers clean and healthy over the years has been a part of our success. I wish them another 50 years of prosperity at OCF. I am delighted to say the State of our Peach is full of hope and progress. In 2025, we overcame challenges that we experienced in 2024, and we continue to improve our financial stability. Even though we didn't sell out all of our tickets to the public, our revenue was strong, and we surpassed our 2025 revenue budget. The focus of 2026 will be to continue this trend. We will work to increase our public attendance, manage our internal size, and continue to address long-term projects that are needed to sustain and improve the event. We will continue to have many investments that need to be made over the next 10 years. Our most pressing project is rebuilding Main Camp Kitchen. A big shout out and thanks to the kitchen crews for all they do to feed our working crews. The Fixed Assets Committee is pulling together a work group to address the Main Camp Kitchen rebuild. The roof is at the end of its serviceable life, and the structure needs to be rebuilt. It will take a significant investment to upgrade our kitchen facilities. We will fast track this project and request funding from the Budget Committee. I am projecting a 2-year time frame on this with the goal of having it completed by the 2027 fair. We are continuing to pursue rebuilding our water system, and this is likely a 7-year project. We are researching the best location for our head end, and once we settle on the location, we will begin to design and install the infrastructure to support it. Next, I continue to emphasize the need to invest in site equipment that supports the staff and volunteers and the work they do year-round. We need to purchase 2 more utility vehicles to meet the current year-round site needs. Continuing to identify and purchase the tools needed is essential. The need for alternative transportation during Main Camp and the fair remains a top priority. With climate change, we are seeing an increase in dust. The springs are getting drier and causing the land to become extremely dusty. We sprayed over 300,000 gallons of water on our roads between Main Camp and deconstruction. It had very minimal effect on reducing the dust. Water is a precious resource, and we can't expect to use this much water in 10 to 20 years. It will be cost prohibitive and wasteful. We are looking at alternatives to reduce our dust and our carbon footprint to help minimize the global warming effects on our fair. Gators are one of our greatest contributors to dust. We have a 5-mile-per-hour speed limit that is not being adhered to. Because of this, more dust is being stirred up. We must begin to reduce our gator usage and address speed violations. We will continue to pursue electric-powered transportation solutions, and I encourage crews to think of more environmentally friendly solutions to their site transportation needs. Investing in bicycles with trailers to transport supplies around the site will move us forward in reducing our dust and reaching our carbon neutral goal. As you are aware, we have been talking a lot about the invasive species called the emerald ash borer beetle. It will destroy all of our ash trees over the next 20 years. It has now been found in Salem and Portland. The EAB task force has been working diligently to create a strategic plan for the treatment, removal, and replanting of native species. The task force has developed a values metric that all response options will be evaluated against. It is my hope that we will have an EAB strategic plan ready for the board of directors to consider in the spring of 2026. A lot of work is being done on a statewide level to prepare everyone for the effects this will have on the Oregon ash trees. This will be a big loss, but OCF will survive it. We have survived many challenges over the past 56 years. It will take all of us working together to develop new shade on our site. We overcame the 2024 portable toilet mess. With the help of many volunteers and extensive work with our service provider, we delivered on our expectations and needs. Equipment arrived early, and hand washing stations were plentiful. I want to specifically thank backup manager Megatron, Dan Lint, Jennifer Barnes, and the Peachy Clean team. They worked hard to make sure the fair community had access to sanitary portable toilets throughout the event cycle. I also want to thank Alexis and his team of hand wash station builders. We plumbed in 6 hand wash stations and deployed 5 reservoir portable stations. This was in addition to the rented units. The cost of the services was in line with what we were quoted and expected. These investments are a part of a larger picture. We must continue to look closely at our capacity. It is still too early to tell if the pandemic has changed our attendance levels permanently. Other Pacific Northwest events are struggling to return to pre-pandemic attendance levels as well. We will continue to focus on increasing our public attendance while being mindful to not budget our expenses beyond our income. Our second year of using the Sunshine database was again challenging as we incorporated all the entertainment crews into the system. Our ability to take credit cards for inventory bear fruit again this year. We took in over 95% of our inventory payments via credit card. This removed pressure on coordinators to collect, carry, and account for large sums of money. Again, it took a group effort to make this successful. We will continue to improve the user experience. We now have membership data in members' profiles, and this makes it possible to do hybrid voting. Soon, we will be able to communicate via email with all members and volunteers through the database. Coordinators will be able to email their crews directly, and the more communication we have amongst us, the more we strengthen our dedication to inclusivity. It is management's goal to give coordinators the tools they need to manage administrative tasks more efficiently and effortlessly. Afton tickets worked very well again this year. Our 3-day pass wristbanding line was fast and efficient. Gone are the days of long will call lines. The easier we make coming to the fair, the more people will return to experience it again. Land stewardship has always been an important focus for us. If we don't take care of the land, we won't have the fair we all love so much. Climate change is evident. Hotter, dustier summers and continued river erosion. We must plan for these effects. Path planning, water use, waste reduction, and alternative energy all require our attention. Part of our mission includes philanthropy, as it comes from the revenue we generate, and the fair is the biggest fundraiser. But we also receive between $50,000 and $100,000 per year from generous donors, and we appreciate them. But we can always use more donations, and we have great programs that depend on your support, like Culture Jam, the Jill Hyman Vision Fund, the Bill Wooten Endowment Fund, and KOCF. These are meaningful to our community, and I hope you will consider making a donation. It is through these programs that we have been able to make significant donations to other local nonprofits over the years. As always, positive communication continues to be integral in becoming allies in the outcomes we seek. It is the voice of the membership and volunteers through voting and contributing in committees that drives our success. Please continue to focus on positive communication and turn away from divisive rhetoric. Now more than ever, we need to be there for each other, to build a resilient community, to support each other even when we disagree. Always assume positive intent. Every one of us is here because we love Oregon Country Fair. Let's not let disagreements distract us from that and strive to treat each other the way we want to be treated. Please cast your vote for the Board of Directors by October 18th at 8 p.m. at the Eugene office. The Elections Committee will tally the votes on October 19th and post the results to the .net site as soon as they are known. Thank you to the Get Out the Vote crew for hosting the candidate forum on September 28th. We are also holding an end-of-year tax-deductible donation campaign. Please make a donation if you are able. Every year I shall share a small excerpt from a piece written by Bill Wooten, one of the founders of Oregon Country Fair, titled Oregon Country Fair: The Early Years. It is a reminder of who we are. The section is titled Community by Choice. This is a community by choice of reason rather than by chance of birth. Reason is found more each day on the side of cooperation, conversation, and community. Reason stands with those who reduce their wants and simplify their needs, who lessen demands upon the world's resources. Reason stands with those who do not ask the world to do for them what they can do for themselves. Reason stands with those who treat neighbors as friends, friends as brothers and sisters, and the earth as our one and only home. Let us stand together. It stands to reason. To endure is to prevail. Thank you for being a community by choice. It is an honor and a privilege to serve as your executive director. I enjoy working with the staff and volunteers to achieve our mission. This is a very special organization, and I never forget how lucky I am to be a part of it. Lastly, I want to thank the employees, coordinators, and backup managers who work hard to support our volunteers. Their commitment and service to our organization is a major contributor to the magic of the fair. With much love and respect for all of you and your contributions, thank you. And here's to a great 2026 fair. Hillary, our treasurer, is unable to attend tonight, but has provided a written statement, which I will read on her behalf. Ooh, would you prop it open? Okay, thank you. All right, dear fair family, this is from Hillary. I hope the 2025 fair brought you fun, connection, and renewal. I'm sorry to miss you for the annual meeting, but I am sending this preliminary report. Typically, the annual meeting report is as of September 30th, and I will update this report so that records are comparable. This report conveys some of the important information about our financial condition. Overall, it looks like 2025 will be a good year, making our overall revenue projection, continuing to make infrastructure improvements, increasing food vouchers value, continuing employee benefits, and having a small increase to our rainy day fund reserves. We stayed within our capacity goals of staying under 35 people a day on site. We continue to hold our internal population stable with small reductions to day passes. Our event revenues was slightly below what we budgeted for, but made up for that by great commemorative sales. Note also that our interest revenue soared. If you listen to your board meetings, you will know that most of the cash we are holding as reserves or for future operations is now in CDs and getting higher returns than previously. As we said last year at the financial planning meeting, we intended to recommend holding both the 2025 prices and capacity limits through 2026. We hope this will offer crews and staff a chance to continue to deal with the physical and organizational issues to keep our community safe and well supported. Stay tuned for more recommendations and updates. See you soon, Hillary. On that note, I'm going to now turn this over to Pam. Yeah, it was distracting.
Hello, good evening. My name is Pam Tyrell, and I will be presenting the report out on the feedback loop this year. I've had the honor and privilege to work with Jen Lynn in the past 2 years, as she has done a knowledge transfer of this process with me. Jen Lynn's perspective on this organization is amazing. She can see the need for innovation, forward thinking, as we evolve while we still maintaining our traditions and cultural values. Thank you, Jen Lynn, for your time and patience with me. So a little overview on how the feedback loop works. Everyone is welcome to enter into the feedback loop on a Google Doc, which is available on Friday morning of the opening of fair and stays open until the first Friday in September. As I said, anybody's welcome to put in a feedback loop, general public, staff, entertainers, vendors, elders, SOs, teens. It's open for everybody. The responses are downloaded and read through to determine where to route the feedback within our organization. Responses are separated if a responder identified multiple different areas of feedback so they can be aligned to the correct area for review. And after that, the reports are created. We hope to have the public report published in the coming week, and the coordinator and committee's reports will get theirs within the next week or so. So this year with the feedback loop, we had 247 people submit feedback, and that resulted into 483 different feedback messages. Those that are responding to the feedback loop is primarily 43% is our crew and volunteers, 23% is our craft and food vendors, 13% is the general public, 10% elders, and 7% is the performers. So what were people saying? What's on people's minds? There was a lot of things on a lot of people's minds in the feedback loop, but if we look at the top 5, it was sanitation, the dust, as Kirsten referred to, kudos, water, and shade. And then I looked at it and said, well, you know, is the general public saying different things than the crew or the volunteer or the elders or the general publics? And I found that regardless of the audience that was reporting, all 5 were the same top 5. The order may have changed, such as general public. The number 1 thing was kudos. But across the board in our community, we all seem to have the same 5 top issues that want to be talked about. Looking at year-over-year differences, last year the Sunshine Database was a large topic on the feedback loop. This year there was none. People are becoming better at navigating and using the database. Sanitation was a heavy hitter last year, as it was this year, but the messages this year did acknowledge there was improvement from last year and still identified more opportunities we can keep on evolving to make it better. We've also noticed the volume of feedback on cigarette smokes has declined drastically over the years. So all the policies have been implemented are really taking their toll and being effective within our community. Highlights of the feedback loop were Tuesday is a new Wednesday. There were many comments about path watering, so we want to give a public service announcement to all booths that the water crew will supply water barrels to the booths. They'll put them in a place, it's a good location for your booth and a good location for them to be able to access them, and they will fill them throughout fair. So if you were interested in having a water barrel near your booth, please contact the water crew. Other highlights were kudos. A lot of people took a lot of time to make positive comments within the midst of identifying other areas of opportunities and issues. One of the things that we really enjoyed within the feedback loop was the different uses of the terminology for porta potties, and hands down the favorite was the portal potty. One of the other highlights was from the sweep band this year, where they chose to sing Rubber Ducky during the sweep, celebrating Sesame Street and OCF's shared birthday year of 1969 and complimenting Miss Piggies. They will continue this new tradition, so come Ducky for sweep this year. I really enjoyed my experience in this process. If you ever wonder if somebody reads your feedback when you submit it anywhere, be rest assured that the OCF Feedback loop is read, evaluated, and changes implemented when possible. Lastly, I would like to take a minute to honor all those that we lost this year in our fair family. For me specifically, it was Fitz. He's part of the reason I'm standing here tonight presenting to you all. Chris Fitz showed me the difference between going to fair and being a part of fair. And this lesson has gifted me friends and family, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for your time this evening. If you have any questions for me, please contact the fair office or find me on social media. I appreciate you all. Thank you. And I'm now passing it to Jeff. Sorry.
All right, good evening, everybody. Yeah. A few announcements before we get to the candidates. As everybody knows, the fair went to an online election this year, and so that's a big change for everybody. And our biggest challenge, I'm finding, is that people can't find their ballots. So let's talk about that a little bit. Everybody that's voting member has got a ballot. We've done a lot of work to make sure that's the case. About 60 or about 5,700 of those went online. Only about 275 now are on paper. So chances are you got a ballot in your email box. So what you're going to find, we sent those out on September 24th. The subject line is Oregon Country Fair 2025 annual election. So they've been in there if you haven't found it. On the 10th, we did an update to that send, and that popped all those emails up to the top of your email box. We'll be doing that again tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and we're probably going to do it 2 more times before the deadline on the 18th. They're there. You just have to do a little searching if you've got a full email box. As always, contact us at elections@OregonCountryFair.org. We will answer any questions you have same day. We're looking at that email box every day, and we answer every question that comes through every day. So that's it on the elections. Where people are voting, and we will be counting on the 19th, as Kirsten talked about. And we've got enough volunteers. We only have about 100 ballots to count this year. The computer does the rest of it for us this year, so we don't need a lot of volunteers. All right, candidates. Couple of things real quick. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. John Alexander's first, Felicia Kearse is second, Kevin Levy, then Noah Person, Zara Indigo Ranlove, Trevor Ross, and then Lawrence Taylor. So.
I wonder why the ballots are due at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time when we're still on daylight time.
Y'all still there?
That's my mistake. It should be Pacific Daylight Time. 8 o'clock Eugene time. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
If you have a question, you need to raise your hand and we'll bring a microphone because nobody in the YouTube world will be able to hear you.
So each candidate will have 6 minutes. I will try to give them a warning. The candidates have an option to open up to questions if they choose. If you do have a question, there'll be a couple people with microphones. Wait until that microphone's in front of you so that the people online can hear the question. After all 6 have a chance, we'll go to floor nominations, and I'll talk about that then. So, John Alexander, is he here?
I am here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's with gratitude for the encouragement I have received from old friends and new acquaintances, and with thanks for those who have supported me through my first term and who have now written positive endorsements for my candidacy, I am running for a second term on the Oregon Country Fair Board. Please take a look at my website to see those endorsements. As I said in 2022 when I ran, my service on the board will come from a space of active listening, collaboration, and sincere contribution to help maintain the OCF, as my daughter described it in her honors college thesis. In her words, the OCF models novel progressive values transmission, contributes to the persistence and adaptation of counterculture values, is motivated by an intention of having a positive influence on the world, and is shaped by the persistence and multi-generational celebration of deviance, alternative lifestyles, experimentation, community, equality, and self-awareness. My record of board collaboration is reflected in the motions of which I've co-sponsored. I've partnered with every board member on at least one motion brought forward in the last 3 years. During my first term, I served as liaison to the Diversity Committee. And no matter where you stand on that controversy, most of us can agree that the fate of that committee was disappointing. While serving, I tried to bring a level of tension down, focus on how the committee could work towards new ideas and goals, and work with the board on a more self-reflecting way, trying to reduce the blame coming from both sides and replace it with a more progressive discussion. While I think I helped to do this, in the end, I was not successful in trying to forge a way forward for the Diversity Committee and the board. My work with diversity was not limited to that at the fair, though. For 20 years, I have brought international interns to our fair to talk about the Klamath Birds of Duran, our work to do multicultural co-creation of cross-boundary conservation actions that benefits birds, their habitats, and the people that they connect through their migratory patterns that span our continents. Recently, I've been serving as a board representative to the EAB task force, and as a facilitator, I am bringing the full force of my decades of professional conservation planning experience to help us write a conservation investment strategy using recognized methods that I have employed throughout my career to raise millions of dollars for conservation actions. Part of this process involves identifying the fundamental values that are important in making decisions related to how developing and implementing a response strategy for the Emerald Ash Borer. To learn more about this structured decision-making process, please take a look at the recent Fair Family News. My current statement is rooted in priority recommendations from the NAO reports that have yet to be adopted and that I think are necessary for the board to better lead this organization in a way that best reflects the fair's mission. My candidate statement, I offer 3 proposals. 1, to develop solution-focused motions through more inclusive and drawn-out dialogue involving the board, our membership, and our community. And the second is to clarify responsibilities and authorities and expectations of the president and the vice president office or position. And third is to create a board-centered process for holding ourselves accountable for the board's codes of conduct. I have made little traction on these 3 over the past 3 years. However, with your vote for me, you will send a clear message to the board that these should be prioritized. It is with gratitude and urgent concern that I ask for your vote so I can step back onto the field with resolve to be collaborating member of this team that our fair family has assembled by electing us to the OCF board. With your votes comes expectations that we must strive to meet. My heart is heavy because it has been too clear that our team is in turmoil. Our meetings are often too difficult. Too many closed meetings have obscured our work. And sadly, this election has been darkened by sitting board members emboldened by complacency, waging negative campaigns against me and others who are running for this election. With that, I'm using my own set of value-based objectives to step forward to work with these board members if elected in a positive and progressive manner. If elected, I will face our challenges with the resolve to work with the entire team to change our course. To do this, I'm using these values-based objectives, which I believe are rooted in the values that we share, to guide my second term of service if elected. Accessing and learning from the deep institutional knowledge held by the fair family. Fostering multi-generational engagement and leadership to help us guide ourselves into the future. Focusing on diversity and inclusion efforts towards healing to overcome true barriers and celebrate the varied origins, voices, and perspectives we have. informing decisions with input from communities, committees, crews, artists, staff, elders, increasing opportunities for collective dialogue among board members with the FAIR family, striving for more transparency, working towards consensus whenever possible and compromise when needed, and maintaining objectivity to reduce personal conflict on the board. My intent is to apply these values-based approaches as a foundation for facing the challenges of this position, helping me better find the greater happiness and fulfillment that the Oregon Country Fair has always offered by seeking that joy through a second term of board service.
Felicia Kirsch, also.
Okay. Hi, I'm Felicia. I apologize for not being there in person tonight. I really wanted to be there. I had something pretty huge come up today, so I am joining you on Zoom. I recognize that if you're watching this and if you're listening to it, this is very important to you, and thank you for your participation. Without your participation, this fair would cease to exist. I see the young and the old, and everybody in between. We're all vital to the fair. Our youth are our successors, and we need to treasure our youth, and we need to rear them and guide them into becoming our elders one day. And our elders are incredible still. Many of them are working. They're same jobs, and jobs that none of us even realize are necessary. Some of them are still in need of their successors. I know that we have a discussion about population growth, and I think it would be neat to have a more like definitive program that can guide able-bodied youth into the places where they're needed. I'd like to throw out that possibly John Steinhardt on the Sunshine database could figure something out. Just kidding, kind of. So yeah, on the topic of population, we definitely need enough room for our visitors to help drive the revenue, so we can keep coming back and having a fair. I think one thing that we can really look into is where all of our worker passes are going. Make sure that they're going to the people that are working and their SOs as needed. Really kind of streamline all of that. That I think really could balance out our population. I am going to highlight a little bit of my experience at the OCF. I know I talked a lot about it in my candidate statement. I started working in 2006 at Mickey's Gumbo. I met Mickey at culinary school at LCC, and he welcomed me in. I knew I needed to come back, and so I started working out at Farside Gate, and I got to be a gatekeeper for many years, and I got to kind of see what it's like and experience myself what it's like coming into fair and how important it is to start out on the right foot, and how hard it is, when we're working against ourselves and other people are working against us. So that's something that I have always tried to bring is, what can I do to help you within my ability? I also have experience working as a food vendor with Cafe Mundo at Community Village. My last year working there, I worked 16-hour days just because it was easier than working short days and having to work really hard, work long days and just kind of keep working hard. I stay behind and I pick up garbage on Mondays. They call it MOOP, matter out of place. There's a lot of it. I fill up a 5-gallon bucket. The upper river loop is always clean. Good job, you guys. But there's a lot of places that just kind of leave behind, strands of fake hair and tinsel and glitter and, a bread tie and stuff like that. And it all needs to be removed. We all need to do a better job and take care of our space. So currently I am back at Farside, building the campground. Loving it there. It's neat to be back there. So I want to quickly, I have a minute 40 left. I wanted to talk about my, my credentials, I guess. I'm a business owner in a restaurant for 11 years. The CEO, CFO right now. I do all the financials, all the organization. I'm our catering coordinator, so I spend a lot of time dealing with the public, communicating via email, billing, making sure people are happy within my ability. And so in my last minute, though, I want to tell you guys the three kind of ideas that I have for improving the fair, because it's quality of fare is part of, I think, the board's job. I'd say grass. Kirsten was talking about all the water that got spilled during fair. That's I heard 360,000 gallons. If you divide that in how many gallons per day, it's, seriously, almost 1,000. But considering that we only need water 4 months out of the year at most, that's roughly 3,000 gallons of water that we could put on the ground during those months and really get a nice lawn. I would love to see that. I was out there last week and it's already growing back. It's beautiful. There's tiny little sprouts. I have video of it. I'd love to show you guys, and I will. The second thing, ash, the Oregon ash borer, or the emerald ash borer is obviously coming. We need to be aware of this. We all, as members, need to educate ourselves and really make a plan forward, and make a plan for your camp, because it's happening, and less gas, y'all. We can do that. Thanks.
Kevin Levy.
Love a good ramp. I'm a ramp fan, and so this always happens. So maybe, hopefully everyone can hear me. And so, okay, here we go. So my name is Kevin Levy. I am a current director on the board. I'm running for re-election again. And so I wanted to first thank all of you out there. I did a lot, I've said a lot of that during the forum. So I want to, again, thank all of you for giving me an opportunity and a chance and trusting me in the last election to serve you and to serve the organization. It's been crucial to just my own personal growth and happiness, and it's just been wonderful being able to be a part of this at any level, really, as well as what we do. And so I want to give a special shout out to my wife, my partner, my bestest friend, and thank her for allowing me to be here. I would not be here without her permission. The first years were hard, she was hiding my laptop, setting booby traps, for meetings, that kind of thing, but she gets it now, and she loves that I love to do this nerdy stuff. And so that's one thing for our candidates, our new candidates coming in, and all of our candidates and everyone that serves. Our partners ride that ride with us, and so make sure you're taking care of them and listening to them, because it is important that they understand the work and the time we give. So a little bit about me is, I'll say it again, I've been coming to the fair for over a decade now. I'm a jeweler at the fair, a crafter. Me and my wife make jewelry. I do the polishing, she does the making. It's almost kind of like cheating if you ever made jewelry. And so you'll find me in my booth pretty much from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then out having fun. And so in my unfair life, I am a realtor. And so I help clients with the biggest purchases and sales of their lives and help advise them on that and with contracts and with the process. Many folks may also not know, I've mentioned this at the candidates forum, but for folks who didn't get a chance to watch that, I am also serve as a director on the board of Oregon Realtors. So we serve all the realtors in the entire state of Oregon. So I'm on that board as well, advocating for realtors. I also do some local volunteering with the Saturday Market. I love them. I am assistant volunteer coordinator to Willie there, and so it's fun to kind of help out and be a part of that. And so for me, my time on the board, like I mentioned earlier, it's been an amazing journey of personal growth, understanding how the fair works and its many nuances. Representative Fair has easily been one of the biggest achievements of my life. If reelected, I'll continue collaborating and working with everyone in the organization to get things done and to try and have some fun while doing it. So having served my first term, I said this before, I'm feeling a lot more confident with just the general process, with understanding how policy works, understanding the effects of those policies, understanding the promises we can and we can't make, and the things that we can do, and the things we can't do without all of you to help. I've learned that a huge part of a director's job is to balance the needs of the fair and being able to focus on the long-term effects of decisions made and having that farther purview of the future with our goals. I've also learned the importance of feedback from everyone. If you caught me in a live meeting, I'm quick to say, keep giving us a hard time. And so the board is learning. We're listening. We always want to do our best for the organization. I feel that the board is learning about communication and also about giving important topics the time they deserve. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a shift there in thinking. We all want to move fast and make things happen, but sometimes the best we can do is to take our time and move meaningfully. My goal is always to make sure that the fair is here for generations to come, and having functional leadership is crucial. Leading by example and understanding that we have to look out for each other and make sure that when the times are tough, and to not only make sure that we're sharing the table together, but that everyone feels good about sitting at it. One of the biggest things I've learned, as John has mentioned, is that this is a team sport. I said this at the Candidates Forum. I'm here asking for your vote to be one of 12 with a mindset of bringing us all together to work as one together. One thing I've found is change is the only constant, and the fair has lots of challenges coming our way in this not-too-distant future. I guess we could say that the fair will always have challenges, and we'll all be there to meet it together. I know that, regardless of how we're acting. And so having leadership that acts in a positive and decisive way will be crucial to help us move forward into this new generation. It was an amazing group of people that started the fair, and it will take an amazing community to keep it going. What I want to do is not make promises that I can't keep or tell you that only I can save the fair. Only I have the answers and can make the change. It's impossible. This is a we thing, and we are all here together in this. Some folks, have to look at the elections as a popularity contest, and for me, believe me when I say I want to be everybody's friend. I'm here to have a good time. They know this. But there's a good chance that you'll see if I'm here in the room, there's a good chance I'm having fun and making some noise, as Alex heard earlier. But when it comes time to work, I'm ready and focused for the challenge. Again, I have no agenda or ego in any of this. I'm here to help and love doing this nerdy stuff. So I take it very seriously. And asking myself what is the best for the organization is always going to be my North Star. So again, thank you everyone for the opportunity, and thank you all for all the work you all do.
All right, nowhere percent.
All right. Can you hear me? Oh, great. All right. Hi, everyone. If we haven't met, my name is Noah Person, and thanks for being here this evening. I've been giving a lot of thought to what I think is really important for the OCF board, and I'd like to share a few core things about myself that are important to know as you consider your vote. If I'm elected to the board of directors, my goals are straightforward. I want to ensure the fair remains fun, accessible, and sustainable for everyone involved. That includes the fair family, the members, our broader community, and every attendee who walks through the gate. Throughout my 30-plus year history with the fair, I've always tried to just enjoy and experience the fair, do the best job wherever I'm needed, and frankly, stay out of the politics. If elected, I fully intend to keep doing exactly that. Some of you know me, but I think most of you probably don't in the room there. So I want to be very direct about who I am. I'm a listener. I'm not the type of person who rushes to give a quick answer to complex questions. I prefer to take time to fully understand the issue and respond with intention. I always try to consider issues based on the most accurate information available, and I'm happy to adjust my position whenever presented with new information. I prefer transparency. It is my opinion that one of the board's primary functions should be active listening. It exists to research and gather as much information as possible from all of you, the FAIR family, its members, our community, the committees, the attendees, the directors, and of course, fellow board members. Then and only then does the board use this collective intelligence to ensure the fair grows and remains that wonderful, fun, accessible, and sustainable place we all love. If anyone watched, I'm going to go off script. So if anyone watched the candidates forum, you know that I'm short, I'm to the point, and I'm not going to disappoint. I will be again. So I want just to remind everyone, as always, please feel free to email me directly. Several members have. I think it's great. I always get back to you. And I'd like to use the remainder of my time to open up the floor to any questions or suggestions.
Got a microphone over here? Hang on a second.
Hi. Noah, a lot of folks have been concerned about our governance system seeming to be a little bit more behind closed doors than it has traditionally. How do you feel about open governance in a membership organization?
Yeah, I've heard that. And it's my understanding that the only closed voting meetings deal with personnel, legal, or real estate, which I think those are closed for legal reasons. And the other closed meetings, from my understanding, address personal and sensitive issues that don't require a vote, which are obviously kept closed to preserve trust and dignity. I support confidentiality only where legally necessary or needed to maintain the trust of the people in the confidential meeting. Other than that, I do prefer transparency. I hope that answers the question.
That partly answered my question, but I'll ask the rest of it online. Thank
Okay, that's right.
Any other questions? Up here?
Hello, Noah. Hey, in the 30 years that you've been a part of this organization, what would you say is your favorite job?
I can't see who's on, but I think that's AJ.
Correct.
I would say my favorite job is working the Bridge Too Far with you, AJ. So, well, it's a close second with that and when the Fun Gate still existed and working the late Sunday night shift, the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. shift.
Any other questions? All right, you've got about a half a minute.
No. I loved what Kevin said in my half a minute. Kevin, that was great. I agree with you fully on everything. Other than that, we could just play the elevator music.
So how do you feel about volunteers? Do you want more or less of them?
You know, I'm hesitant to throw an opinion. Listen, if we need more volunteers, then we need more volunteers. So but I don't know. I don't know what the how that balances out right now. I guess if I was sitting on the board, I'd have more transparency and more information on that. So, as needed.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Zara?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? There we go. Good evening. Can you hear me now? Wonderful. Oh, I just want us all to take a moment to take a breath together. Because what we do at the Oregon Country Fair, we do for ourselves, we do for our families, we do for our friends, but we also do for the world, right? And when we come together at the Oregon Country Fair and remember that most basic thing of taking a breath. Maybe we're in joy and we take a big breath. Maybe we're in conflict or there's some issue that's difficult and we have plenty of those and we take a breath together. So just take a moment and breathe deeply. And as you're breathing deeply, think about the Oregon Country Fair and what's important to you. Imagine all these seats that don't have people in them are filled with all the names and faces of our friends and family who make the Oregon Country Fair what it is. There's something magic about that. That what we do at the Oregon Country Fair ripples out into the world and changes things. I know that I've been changed deeply since I first arrived at the Oregon Country Fair at 18 years old. And my mind got opened and my heart got expanded and my relationship with people changed, coming together in groups, trying to figure things out together. That's what we do. I've heard this idea of listening, right? And as a board member, that's our job. My job isn't to tell you my opinion. I have my own opinions, sure, but my job is to be 1/12 of a body that listens to all the information that comes, whether that information is one of your opinions, whether that information is coming from our staff, whether that information is coming from a lawyer or from one of our partners in the community. It's about listening and synthesizing all of that information that I receive as 1/12 with my own ethical kind of parameter there as well, and then I make a decision from that point, right? So I could tell you what I think about this issue or that issue, but I can't really, not until I have the information and the ability to process what you all want, right? What do you want? And then we weave that together, right, with the other 11 of the board members and what they think and feel, all the input from our committees. I mean, just think about the hours of time that our community, our family has given to the Oregon Country Fair. It's mind-boggling. I mean, in my 35 years, I think it's something like 70,000 hours. Like, that's a lot of hours, and I'm not the only one, right, who's put in so much time. I could sit here or stand here and talk about what I've done at the fair, but you can read that in my candidate statement. I could talk about my skills and my abilities in the nonprofit world. I've been working in that world for a long time on both the board and the operations side of things. But I think what's most important about me in this seat at this time is this part of me that's a healer. And it's about bringing us together. It's about recognizing when I make mistakes and giving apologies and saying I'm sorry. It's about asking for accountability from our community. It's about finding how to heal ourselves at the very top, because I've been hearing lots of this and lots of that and a lot of different opinions, a lot of different hearts that are hurting right now. And maybe I can't do anything, but maybe I can. Maybe the skills and abilities that I have in group dynamic and in healing our soul could be helpful. So I leave it up to all of you to decide whether I'm someone you want to see here in a 1/12 of a seat for the Oregon Country Fair. And I'm grateful for your vote, but I'm more than grateful for your vote for me. I'm grateful for your vote, period. Whether you vote for me or vote for others, it doesn't ultimately matter. The fair is going to decide what the fair needs from us. And if that's me, I'm going to serve, right? Many of you have worked with me in the past in different ways, and you know how I serve. I show up, I listen, I speak from the heart, I think with my mind, and I act. I'm about action. I'm about the future. I'm about looking at what this organization and this family is going to do as we position ourselves in this future that's very uncertain. We have a lot of chaos in the world. Our country is, well, we all know what's going on in our country. How are we going to position ourselves as an Oregon Country Fair in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 50 years? I walk through the temples of Egypt, right, where there's records 5,000 years long gone, but still remembered, right? Can we think in that kind of way 5,000 years from now? What is the Oregon Country Fair? What do we leave behind? So I want to help us ground in that, ground in our heart, ground in healing, ground in finding the connection, the space between the divisions, so that we can move forward in a really healthy way. So that spark that is the Oregon Country Fair, that each one of you have inside of your heart, that's why you're here, that's why you're watching, that's why you're voting, that's why you're participating. That spark changes the world, right? And every one of you are a part of that. So thank you all for your attention. I appreciate it.
Trevor Ross.
All right. Hey, guys. I'm Trevor Ross. I've been participating at the fair since 1994. I'm a father. I'm a professional land surveyor. I'm a husband. I'm a brewer. I bring all those things to bear as I look for your vote to be on the board. I encourage you to look at my campaign statement, look at the candidate forum, listen to that candidate forum if you want to know more about me and about some of the positions I've had on the questions. But as I thought about tonight, I thought about questions. I was like, questions. Let's think about that. So that's what we're going to talk about. I meditated on it, and I felt we should explore it. Questions are really ideas, and they beg an answer, and ideas beg action. Members of this board are the conduit of ideas to action and are driven by those questions, such as, equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. How we ensure that, what are we going to do? What's the plan for the Emerald Ash Borer? Should we cap attendance? Should we cap volunteer size? Are we keeping with the mission of the fair? As a professional land surveyor, I have an ethical duty and legal equity related to questions of boundary and title rights. I'm compelled to treat the landowner I'm representing and the adjoining landowners with equity, regardless of who's paying the bill. I serve both sides of the question of where is my land. I will bring this ethos to my work if elected to the board. There will be questions and subsequent action to be taken up by the board. On my part, I will approach these challenges from the perspective of equity. There will be disagreements, and this is normal. In fact, I think it's healthy. Much of my current professional work is as a public servant who helps people, businesses, government agencies, and departments solve complex boundary problems. This requires a neutral position in evidence and law and applying that standard to coming to a finding. This is very brief. I'm gonna close this. It's with this investigative spirit, as a board member, I would listen to the sides of the questions, work with the evidence, keep the confidences of the both sides, and work to be part of a collective decision rooted in equity. And I look forward to your questions.
the cost of going into the fair is just incredibly expensive. I mean, like this pass, this wristband cost $150 for 3 days. And what are you going to do to bring down the cost of the fair for the common person? We're a bunch of hippies. A lot of these hippies who live in Eugene, especially under the time of Trump, is just like we're experiencing a lot of economic hardship. So please bring down the price of the fair for everybody. Thank you.
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think that it would take the kind of investigation that I was talking about and to figure out if, you know, the prices that we have are, you know, necessary, or is there something we can do to bring those down? And right now, I don't have that answer. I mean, that would be definitely a collaborative effort on the part of the 12 members of the board to tackle those issues of budget and of revenue. Got one there.
In the back there?
Yeah.
You got it.
Hi. How do you feel about open governance in a membership organization?
I would echo what Noah said. I'm right in line with that there are certain things that can and should be transparent, and there's other things, legal or otherwise, that cannot be. I am definitely around transparency. I'm, you know, within the context of my experiences on other boards and my professional experience, that as much as you possibly can, the process needs to be transparent. Got one.
Yeah, so we've heard a lot about, rightfully so, about listening and the board's role in listening. What are your thoughts on decision-making? Because I see that as a part of listening. What do you do with that listening, right? Yeah. What are some big decisions, or at least one big decision, that you've made based on information that you've received over time?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I mean, you opening up that generally, just like out there. I mean, one of my struggles right now personally in my profession and the work I do, there's some topics around lawsuits that are happening in my community, our community. And as a public servant, I have to serve both sides. And so I provide, you know, I provide information. And in this case, I'm providing information to both the defense and the plaintiff. And it's gotten to the point where I'm being accused of inequity, not serving both sides. And so then at that point, I have to, you know, I have to reassess about what we did as an organization, what kind of legal grounds we have for giving information or not giving information, and those ideas of equity. So at this point, I'm with legal counsel, and I'm allowing them to direct me around my behavior and around the kinds of things I do. And the Freedom of Information Act is coming into play. And so on our part, from my office, we did everything we could to be equitable, but that doesn't mean it's not perceived as an inequity around the kind of information we give. And so I'm navigating some pretty big stuff around litigation externally and legal ability to provide internally. So that's some big stuff I'm dealing with right now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Lawrence Taylor.
Hi, I'm LT. Most of you know me. So, what's the fair? I mean, what is this thing that we do? The word itself is pretty interesting. The word fair comes from an Indo-European root that relates to things that are sacred. I suspect, whatever our other angles are, that we hold something sacred in our heart that we call the fair. I suspect sometimes there's as many fairs as there are people, because each of us come at this from such a different perspective. And I think when you make your decision for the board, I think it's the same kind of a thing. I mean, everybody who's running will do a perfectly good job. And everybody who's running has their heart in the right place and wants the fair to survive and to thrive. So the question is, what's the best mix of individuals, and what creates a dynamic that is the most productive and that sees things from the most different perspectives? And as I've said, if you look at the history of the fair, there's been a lawyer on the board for almost the entire history. I know John Parrott was on the board. You know, you could name a whole bunch of folks. I think it brings a particular perspective, a particular way of thinking about things. And I think that it's okay to have that perspective along with a highly spiritual focus, a highly environmental focus, organizational types of focuses. I think we need a good mix, and I think that's the best thing I have to offer to that particular group. I've been doing the fair for 52 years, about 3/4 of my life. Half of my life I cleaned toilets at the fair. It gives you a different perspective. You know, there's things that we all have in common, and for about half of that, which is say about 1/4 of my life, I've already served on the board. So I have an idea what it means to work with people who don't always agree, to listen to people who may see things from a different perspective, and to come to agreements and to commit together, whether it was our idea or somebody else's idea. I do have concern about governance. I think that if we look around the world, we see that the principles of, you might call them Enlightenment principles of democratic governance, are slipping everywhere we look. Now, I used to say that, whatever, as hard as my life might be, and it's pretty easy, we don't live in a war zone. Of course, I live in Portland, so, but what we've got, what we have to offer to the world is something so precious that being able to weather what might well be real threats, we know that the climate's changing and there's a threat. We know that little green bug, is less than 100 miles away and moving fast. We also know that our freedoms and the perspective that we share, because I know that overall our perspectives on how we live together, who's welcome, those things are under threat, and it's real, folks. And so having if you will, a legalistic or political perspective represented on the board in a very active way, I believe is valuable to the community. So that's what I'm offering. And as far as governance is concerned, I am absolutely and vehemently for open governments. I know I heard the other day in a meeting, John Govsky mentioning moving towards a ranked choice voting. I think we could have a board that more generally represents the differences within our community. We can have a board that is more diverse in that respect, and I'd like to see us move in that direction. I'd like to see us democratize as much as possible. But ultimately, the other thing is this. I think it's okay to have, 1 or 2 people that are really comfortable talking, because not everybody is. In fact, most people aren't. But do not confuse comfort speaking with an inability to listen. Because if you've paid attention during the course of my 18 years on the board, you know I was paying attention to all of you. I was paying attention when I said the people don't want cars in the 8 on Sunday night. The people don't want to see those headlights moving down the path in the dark. And it didn't come from me, it came from everybody. And I just said, let's make this happen. So people can make things happen. Govsky spear-pointed this election that we've got now. People can make things happen. And if I'm on the board, that's what I'm going to do. Whether it's my ideas, I'm not a big idea guy. I'm much more of an analytical person than I am a creative person. But I will offer my analysis. I will offer my voice to advocate as strongly as I can for all of your ideas, that when they make sense, and they most often do. I love you. Thank you.
All right, that's our 7 candidates. As a tradition in the fair, there's an option for floor nominations. And so now would be that time. There's a kind of a process tied to it. Got to be a nomination from the floor. That has to be seconded. It has to be accepted. And then if those 3 things happen, they have 6 minutes to talk about their candidacy. So any nominations from the floor? I see none. So with that, you have any election questions? Can't find your ballot? Elections at OregonCountryFair.org. And vote, vote, vote.
Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you all that are with us on YouTube and or Zoom. I want to close tonight by not only saying thank you to our membership and all those stepping up to serve, but to leave you with a quote from somebody that I have admired for a long time. And she is she was one of the most fantastic people that I've ever had an opportunity to meet. And her name is Maya Angelou. And this quote is something in my daily life. I teach and I work with folks who are recently coming from incarceration, and I teach living skills, thinking skills, and things like that. And this quote I use in my class to motivate, but to also inspire them to inspire others. And so I want to leave you tonight with this quote. My mission in life is not to merely survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, and some humor. And as she always said it, and lastly, with some style. All right? Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here.